Hello, miladies of inestimable value. Never trust a woman who can't be defined, because she can also never be controlled. Here's the thing. Psychologists have found that the average person spends over 80% of their life trying to maintain a fixed identity. They cling to labels, roles, and personas just to feel stable. But Sigma females? They laugh at that prison. They don't just reinvent themselves occasionally. They shapeshift so seamlessly that even people closest to them question if they ever knew who she really was. And that's not a flaw, it's a strategy. A Sigma female can be the quiet observer in one moment, the witty assassin in conversation the next, and vanish into thin air before anyone even figures out what just happened. It's unsettling, fascinating, and, let's be honest, a little terrifying. The world expects women to stay in neatly packaged boxes, but Sigma females are too busy melting those boxes and selling them back as scrap metal. So today, we're going to uncover the 12 brutally honest reasons why Sigma females shapeshift, and why this ability is both their greatest weapon and society's biggest headache. Number 1. They refuse to be owned by familiarity. When people interact with a Sigma female, one of the most unsettling experiences they face is the collapse of familiarity. Most humans thrive on the comfort of believing they know someone. It gives them a sense of stability, ownership, and predictability. They believe, I figured her out. I know what she likes, how she thinks, what she'll say next. That belief is soothing, but it's also an illusion. Sigma females are notorious for shattering it, and they do so not out of malice, but because they refuse to be imprisoned by familiarity. What makes them different is their ability to constantly evolve. Just when someone feels they've mapped her out, she shifts, subtly or dramatically, and the mental blueprint others built no longer fits. That's where the discomfort comes in. People don't just dislike being wrong about someone. They despise losing the sense of control that comes from believing they had her figured out. A Sigma female forces them to face that loss again and again. The effect is powerful. Colleagues who thought they could predict her work style suddenly realize she's mastered a skill they never noticed. Friends who assumed they know her taste in music, fashion, or even values are startled when she shifts in a new direction without hesitation. Partners who were confident they understood her emotional patterns are thrown off when she no longer responds the way she once did. This unpredictability keeps her uncatchable. People crave consistency, but Sigma females trade it for freedom. The reason this unnerves others so deeply is that most people unconsciously equate consistency with loyalty and predictability with love. If someone changes, they assume it means disloyalty or dishonesty. But for Sigma females, shifting doesn't mean betrayal. It means refusing to be chained to outdated versions of themselves just to comfort someone else. They believe that anyone who demands familiarity is really asking for possession, not connection. In truth, refusing to be owned by familiarity is their silent rebellion. It's how they ensure no one, no system, and no expectation can ever put them in a cage. And whether people admit it or not, that refusal is exactly why Sigma females remain unforgettable and often untouchable. Number 2. They're the ultimate escape artists. When most people feel boxed in, they push, fight, or argue their way out. Sigma females don't waste energy like that. They do something far more unsettling. They dissolve the box entirely by shifting into someone else. This isn't about playing pretend or wearing a mask for approval. It's about survival, freedom, and strategy. They instinctively know that the moment they let someone trap them in a role, they've lost their power. So instead of resisting head-on, they slip through the cracks by transforming into a version of themselves that can't be confined. This is why systems, relationships, and even entire cultures struggle to hold them. At work, when bureaucracy tries to label them as just an employee, they subtly shift into a strategist, someone who rewrites the unspoken rules and exits before being reduced to a cog. In relationships, if a partner attempts to box them in with expectations, be more this, act less that, they can detach overnight, leaving the other person stunned at how quickly they walked away without looking back. They don't fight over definitions, they erase them. What makes this ability so powerful is that it isn't noisy or dramatic, it's silent. People expect resistance to come with arguments, rebellion, or defiance. Sigma females bypass all of that by simply not being there anymore. Not physically, but mentally and emotionally. They shift, adapt, and exit without fanfare, leaving the cage empty. That quiet escape is often more haunting than any loud confrontation, because it exposes how powerless others really are to contain them. This is why so many call them escape artists. No job, no relationship, no societal script has been able to trap them permanently. Because the second they feel the walls closing in, they shift into something the box can't hold. It's not an accident. It's their nature. They know freedom isn't given, it's taken. And their greatest weapon is their ability to become untouchable, to slip away while others are still figuring out what just happened. That's why Sigma females don't just escape cages. They make cages irrelevant. And for a world that thrives on control, that makes them both fascinating and terrifying. Number 3, they weaponize softness. Softness, when used by a Sigma female, is never weakness. It's a weapon sharpened to perfection. While most people take kindness or gentleness at face value, she knows those qualities disarm even the sharpest minds. A soft tone, a calm demeanor, a carefully placed smile. These simple gestures cause others to drop their guard without even realizing it. And that's when she does her quietest, most effective work. Behind the gentleness, she's reading micro-reactions, tracking inconsistencies, and mapping weaknesses with the precision of a surgeon. What makes this so powerful is that people rarely suspect it. Society has conditioned us to associate soft with harmless. We assume someone who speaks gently can't possibly be dissecting our behavior, or that someone who listens patiently isn't secretly cataloging every detail. Sigma females exploit that assumption brilliantly. By wrapping their sharp observations in warmth, they collect information others would never reveal under direct confrontation. It's not manipulation for sport, it's intelligence gathering with intent. And when the moment comes, that softness can vanish without warning. The same person who seemed nurturing and approachable hours ago can shift into cold clarity, cutting through lies or exposing hidden motives. The contrast stings, because people don't expect a gentle presence to hold such lethal precision. It leaves them questioning not just her, but their own judgment. The truth is, Sigma females understand that raw aggression often creates resistance, but softness creates surrender. When someone feels safe, they open up, reveal themselves, and underestimate her. By the time they realize she's been studying them with unnerving accuracy, it's too late. The data is already stored, the vulnerabilities already identified. That's why her softness feels different. It's not naivety, not blind compassion, but a deliberate cloak. It protects her while exposing others, and for those who think they can outsmart her because she seems gentle. The harsh reality is that the gentleness was never for them, it was for the strategy. Her softness is her scalpel, and every scalpel is designed to cut. Number 4, they're time travelers of identity. For Sigma females, identity isn't something fixed in the present, it's an entire timeline they can move through at will. Most people cling to a single version of themselves, constantly trying to be consistent or stay true to who they are. But a Sigma female doesn't play by that rule book. She knows every past version of herself still exists inside her, waiting to be summoned when the situation demands it. If revisiting the voice, mindset, or persona of her younger self helps her disarm someone, she'll bring it forward effortlessly. If embodying her current, refined self earns authority, she'll hold that ground. And if a glimpse of the woman she's still becoming gives her leverage, she'll channel it before anyone else can even grasp it. This ability is disorienting to others because it's rare. People expect a linear progression. You grow, you evolve, and you leave old selves behind. But Sigma females treat those past versions not as discarded skins, but as tools in a hidden arsenal. That teenage version who once blended into crowds? She can use it to fade into the background when she doesn't want attention. That tougher, more rebellious self? She can bring it back when she needs to confront someone without flinching. Even her future self, the woman she's not yet fully stepped into, makes appearances in how she speaks and carries herself, almost like she's rehearsing tomorrow's power today. What makes this so intriguing is the way it unsettles others. They'll think they've finally figured her out, only to be faced with a version of her that doesn't match their expectations. One day she seems softer, echoing an older self. The next she's sharper, radiating a vision of who she's becoming. This fluidity keeps people on edge because they can't pin her down in a single frame of time. For the Sigma female, this isn't confusion, it's control. She refuses to be stuck in one identity just to comfort the people around her. Instead, she moves through her own timeline like a strategist flipping through weapons, choosing whichever self gives her the greatest advantage in the moment, and when its purpose is served, she drops it without hesitation. To her, every version of herself is still alive, and she can bend time in ways most people will never understand. Number 5. They weaponize ambiguity. Ambiguity, for most people, is uncomfortable. They crave clarity, neat labels, and predictable patterns. But Sigma females thrive in the space where things aren't easily defined. They understand that once people believe they have you figured out, they start building invisible chains around you, expectations, roles, and limits. To prevent that, Sigma females blur the lines of who they are. One moment, they seem approachable and easy to read, and the next, they shift into someone elusive, layered, and unreadable. This isn't indecisiveness, it's strategy. By staying fluid, they deny anyone the power to pin them down. People want to put others into boxes, friend or foe, weak or strong, traditional or rebellious. Sigma females refuse to fit neatly into any of those categories. They can embody warmth without being submissive, authority without being domineering, and independence without being detached. The result is a type of presence that keeps others second-guessing. Just when someone believes they've decoded her, she reveals another facet that rewrites the entire picture. That constant disruption forces people to stay on their toes around her. This ambiguity also acts as protection. When no one can fully define her, no one can fully control her. Labels are a form of ownership. The moment society says, "You are this," it starts dictating what you should do, how you should act, and where you should fit. Sigma females dismantle that power play by never allowing a definition to stick for long. They can be unpredictable without being unstable, mysterious without being dishonest. Their ambiguity is armor, thin enough to let them move freely, yet strong enough to deflect control. The brilliance of this lies in how subtle it is. Sigma females don't announce their resistance. They simply move in ways that don't conform, and people feel the tension without fully knowing why. Some admire it, others resent it, but everyone notices it. Their refusal to be fully understood makes them magnetic, because humans are drawn to what they can't explain. And that's the ultimate paradox of Sigma females. The more ambiguous they remain, the more power they hold, because control only works on what can be clearly defined. Number 6. They don't believe in fixed selves. Most people cling to one version of themselves like it's a lifeline. They build an identity around labels, career titles, relationship roles, or even personality types, and then guard it as if losing it would mean losing their entire existence. For Sigma females, that mindset feels suffocating. They don't see the self as something sacred and unchanging. To them, personality is armor, something you put on, adjust, and even discard depending on the battlefield you're standing on. This is why Sigma females never feel guilty about changing. One day they can be deeply social, the next day completely withdrawn, and the shift doesn't unsettle them the way it does others. They don't mistake consistency for authenticity. In their eyes, what most people call staying true to yourself is often just a polite word for being stuck. If life demands a different self for survival or progress, they don't hesitate to bring that self forward. What makes this so powerful is how it disarms those who try to control them. People rely on predictability. Once they think they know your type, they start building strategies to manage or manipulate you. Sigma females ruin that game because the type they see today may not exist tomorrow. If a situation requires calm diplomacy, she becomes the diplomat. If it calls for sharp confrontation, she morphs into the fighter. And when the dust settles, she drops both roles like costumes and moves on, untouched. To some, this adaptability feels deceptive, even threatening, because it challenges the belief that people should always be the same. But to Sigma females, it's honesty of a higher form. They refuse to pretend that one version of themselves should serve every situation. Life is too complex for that. The battlefield changes daily, and the armor that protected you yesterday may expose you tomorrow. That's why Sigma females are so hard to define. They won't let themselves be pinned down as just one thing. They are many, and each version serves a purpose. For them, freedom means refusing to be trapped inside a fixed self. And that refusal makes them untouchable in ways most people will never understand. Number 7. Survival through invisibility. For Sigma females, invisibility isn't about being unseen. It's about being unreadable. They know that in a world where people are constantly judged, labeled, and targeted, standing out at the wrong moment can be dangerous. So they've mastered the art of survival by blending in. When necessary, they shed the traits that would make them a threat or a target, slipping into the background so seamlessly that no one notices how deliberate it is. To predators, they appear harmless, uninteresting, not worth the trouble. To allies, they appear familiar, someone who belongs, someone safe to trust. This skill isn't about fear, it's about strategy. Sigma females understand that the loudest person in the room often becomes the easiest target, while the quiet observer holds the real power. By muting their presence, they gain access to things others miss. Conversations people wouldn't have around them. Details overlooked because no one feels the need to perform for someone ordinary. Their invisibility is a cloak, and under it, they watch, absorb, and calculate. What unsettles others is that this invisibility is always temporary. Just when people grow used to her being part of the background, she can emerge with precision, revealing how much she's seen, heard, and understood while no one was paying attention. That sudden shift, from unnoticed to undeniable, can be jarring, because it proves she was never passive. She was always present, just deliberately choosing not to shine until the moment was right. This makes her nearly impossible to trap. Systems built to control women often rely on visibility, on monitoring, labeling, or boxing someone into an identity. A Sigma female sidesteps all of that by refusing to be fully visible in the first place. She knows how to fold herself into an environment so well that she becomes uncatchable, and when it's time to leave, she does so without resistance. There are no ties to cut, because no one ever grasped her tightly enough in the first place. That's the brilliance of her invisibility. It protects her, empowers her, and ensures she always has the freedom to move without being owned. It's not hiding, it's surviving with mastery. Number 8. They're fluent in contradiction. Sigma females thrive in contradiction because they understand that most people crave simplicity. Society teaches us to pick one lane, be strong or gentle, assertive or agreeable, independent or nurturing, but Sigma females refuse to fit into these narrow categories. They are both soft and savage, both patient and relentless, both approachable and untouchable, often at the same time. That duality isn't accidental, it's deliberate, and it unsettles anyone who tries to define or predict them. By embodying contradiction, they create a kind of chaos around themselves that others can't navigate. People are used to dealing with predictable reactions. If someone is kind, they assume they can manipulate or persuade. If someone is tough, they assume they can resist. But when kindness and toughness coexist seamlessly, the rules break down. Those who encounter a Sigma female in this state often find themselves unsure whether to lower their guard, step forward, or retreat entirely. The discomfort is a form of power, because it prevents others from ever fully controlling her. Contradiction also serves as camouflage. It allows her to operate in spaces where a rigid identity would be a liability. She can be warm enough to gain trust, yet sharp enough to spot deceit and protect herself. She can nurture alliances but dismantle threats without warning. This flexibility makes her unpredictable and therefore untouchable. The brilliance of being fluent in contradiction lies in its subtlety. Sigma females never force people to notice their duality. They simply exist in it. The contrast appears naturally through behavior, tone, and decisions, leaving others scrambling to reconcile the different sides. And while some may misinterpret this as inconsistency or indecision, it's actually mastery, control over how she is perceived and how she navigates the world. Ultimately, being fluent in contradiction is how Sigma females keep themselves free. They refuse to be boxed into one-dimensional roles because doing so would make them vulnerable. Instead, they embrace complexity, and in doing so, create a space where no one else's expectations can dictate their actions. Contradiction isn't a flaw, it's a tool, a shield, and a silent declaration that she answers to no one. Number 9, they borrow mirrors. Sigma females have a unique way of understanding people that feels almost surgical. They borrow mirrors, not to mimic, flatter, or fit in, but to reveal truth. When interacting with someone, they can temporarily wear the behaviors, mannerisms, or energy of the person in front of them. This isn't imitation. It's a way to reflect back what others are hiding from themselves. By holding up this invisible mirror, a Sigma female exposes cracks in confidence, insecurities, or pretenses that most people try desperately to hide. The power of this ability lies in subtlety. No one realizes at first that she's reflecting them back. They assume their behavior is private or unnoticed, only to slowly recognize that she has illuminated aspects of themselves they didn't intend to share. This reflection can unsettle people, provoke self-awareness, or even trigger defensiveness, but it's always precise. A Sigma female doesn't waste effort on trivialities. She targets the nuances that reveal true motives, desires, and weaknesses. Borrowing mirrors also gives her unparalleled social leverage. In negotiations, conflicts, or alliances, she can adapt her demeanor to expose others' vulnerabilities without ever revealing her own. People see a version of themselves interacting back at them, often trusting it more than they would an objective critique. That trust, even if temporary, becomes her advantage. What makes this even more remarkable is her detachment. She doesn't become the person she mirrors. She wears it lightly, just long enough to glean insight or provoke reaction, and then sheds it seamlessly. That fluidity prevents anyone from pinning her down while giving her intimate understanding of those around her. Through borrowed mirrors, Sigma females navigate the social world like an invisible strategist. They remain untouchable because while others reveal everything about themselves unconsciously, she remains aware, deliberate, and unreadable. The reflection they see is theirs alone, but the knowledge she gains from it becomes a hidden map of human behavior, one she wields with precision, patience, and quiet authority. Number 10. They're masters of social camouflage. Sigma females are masters of social camouflage, but not in the shallow way most people think of blending in. They don't pretend to fit in simply to be liked or accepted. Their camouflage is far more dangerous because it hides intent behind an ordinary exterior. To the outside world, they may seem unremarkable. Someone who goes along with social expectations, someone who doesn't challenge the rules. Meanwhile, beneath that surface, they are quietly observing, calculating, and dismantling norms without anyone noticing. This ability makes them exceptionally powerful. People rarely suspect the quiet, seemingly ordinary person of having influence, authority, or an agenda. Sigma females exploit this underestimation. They slip into groups, workplaces, or social circles unnoticed, absorbing patterns, weaknesses, and behaviors. While everyone else is focused on the visible, vocal players, the Sigma female operates in the shadows, subtly shifting dynamics and redefining boundaries without triggering alarms. Their camouflage is psychological armor. By appearing ordinary, they avoid unnecessary conflict, manipulation, or scrutiny. But unlike passive camouflage, it isn't defensive for defense's sake. Every gesture, conversation, and appearance is calculated to maintain the facade just long enough to gather insight or influence outcomes. They are ordinary on the surface, but extraordinary underneath, a combination that disarms both allies and adversaries. What makes this mastery so terrifying to others is how invisible it is. By the time people realize what has shifted around them, power dynamics, social hierarchies, expectations, it's already too late. The Sigma female has achieved her objective quietly, efficiently, and without confrontation. In essence, social camouflage for Sigma females is not about deception for gain alone. It's about control without exposure. They move through spaces undetected, manipulating situations through observation and subtle action. They exist in plain sight, yet no one fully perceives them until their influence has already taken root. That is the brilliance and danger of their mastery, ordinary to the eyes, lethal in execution. Number 11. They reject the stability trap. Sigma females see the world differently from most people. While society praises consistency as a virtue, staying the same, following routines, sticking to familiar roles, they recognize it as a trap. Consistency may feel safe, but it comes with a cost: predictability. Anyone who becomes predictable is easily targeted, manipulated, or controlled. Sigma females refuse to be trapped in that cage, so they constantly reinvent themselves, reshaping their thoughts, actions, and even their energy to stay uncatchable. This reinvention isn't random or superficial, it's strategic. They evaluate their surroundings, assess risks, and adjust accordingly. The Sigma female who seems calm and collected today can shift into sharp decisiveness tomorrow. Not because she's inconsistent, but because she understands that stagnation equals vulnerability. By staying fluid, she keeps others off balance, making it impossible for people to anticipate her moves or use her against herself. The brilliance of rejecting the stability trap is in the control it grants. Others may rely on routines or fixed identities to exert influence, but a Sigma female cannot be pinned down. She moves like water, flexible, adaptive, and impossible to hold. Even those who think they know her well will find themselves constantly recalibrating, because she refuses to adhere to a predictable pattern. That unpredictability is not chaos. It's armor and strategy combined. It's also deeply liberating. By refusing the safety of consistency, Sigma females free themselves from society's expectations, roles, and limits. They can explore new ideas, adopt new behaviors, and shift their approach to relationships, work, or social interactions without guilt or apology. Predictability might comfort others, but for a Sigma female, it's a trap designed to cage her potential and limit her power. Ultimately, rejecting the stability trap is about survival and dominance. Sigma females understand that freedom is found not in clinging to the familiar, but in embracing the unknown, constantly reinventing themselves, and remaining untouchable to those who seek to confine them. It's a mindset that ensures they remain unpredictable, uncontainable, and always several steps ahead. Number 12. They absorb but don't adopt. Sigma females have an uncanny ability to observe and absorb the world around them without losing themselves. They notice behaviors, tones, attitudes, and even the unspoken energies people project. But unlike most, they don't adopt these traits as part of their identity. Instead, they file them away like tools in a mental arsenal, ready to use strategically when the moment demands. They're like sponges that soak up information without letting it change the shape of their core self. This ability makes them exceptionally perceptive and adaptive. In conversation, they can mirror the speech patterns, mannerisms, or emotional tones of others, not to flatter or fit in, but to understand motives, reveal hidden intentions, or subtly influence outcomes. They learn what makes people tick, what makes them vulnerable, and what gives them confidence. Then, rather than becoming a reflection of those around them, they transform that knowledge into power, using it to navigate social dynamics with precision. What sets Sigma females apart is their detachment. Most people unconsciously imitate traits they admire or feel pressured to adopt. Sigma females never lose themselves in imitation. They remain fully aware of their own boundaries, values, and goals. Absorbing without adopting allows them to move fluidly through diverse environments, gaining insights from every interaction without diluting their individuality. This skill also creates a subtle sense of unpredictability. People who assume they can read a Sigma female quickly realize that she doesn't simply internalize what they project. Instead, she reflects it back in ways they never anticipated, often using their own energy against them or turning it into an advantage. It's a quiet, almost invisible form of mastery. By absorbing but never adopting, Sigma females protect themselves from influence while simultaneously arming themselves with knowledge. They become observers, strategists, and silent manipulators without ever compromising authenticity. Everything they take in is filtered through their own lens, refined, and applied with intent. In a world where most people are easily molded by external forces, Sigma females remain untouchable, always 3 steps ahead, and infinitely more dangerous than anyone expects. Sigma females are forces of nature the world struggles to contain. Every shift, every subtle adjustment, every moment of invisibility or contradiction is a calculated act of mastery. They don't follow rules, they rewrite them. They don't bend to expectations, they dissolve them. Through shape-shifting, they navigate life on their own terms, never predictable, never owned, always in control. What makes them extraordinary isn't just their adaptability, it's the precision with which they wield it, the way they expose truth, command presence, and remain untouchable while everyone else scrambles to make sense of them. Understanding a Sigma female isn't about labeling her or pinning her down. It's about recognizing a force that thrives in complexity, ambiguity, and freedom. She teaches that power lies not in domination, but in awareness. That control is not taken by aggression, but by presence and insight. That survival isn't about hiding, but about becoming a version of yourself that cannot be cornered. She is invisible and unforgettable, soft and ruthless, ordinary and extraordinary, all at once. For those who encounter her, the lesson is clear. Trying to contain her is futile. Trying to define her is pointless. The Sigma female exists beyond expectation, thriving in the tension between what is and what could be, constantly shaping, shifting, and elevating herself. To witness her is to confront the uncontainable, and to learn that true power comes not from others, but from mastering yourself. If you've been captivated by these truths, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share, because understanding Sigma females isn't just fascinating, it's a window into a mindset the world rarely sees, and one you won't want to miss exploring further. If this dive into the world of Sigma females has captivated you, don't let the insight stop here. Hit that subscribe button to join the journey, like this video to show your support, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts or experiences. Let's start a conversation that challenges perspectives. And don't forget to share this with friends who need to see the power, mystery, and mastery of Sigma females in action. Every click helps us uncover more truths that most people are too afraid or too unaware to see.